Hi, freaky friends. This is Colleen.
And this is Margaret.
And we're the Cousins Weird. Hi.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. It was Rich's birthday weekend, so we went to the Bay, and we went to this bar, and there were a lot of people there from out of town, and we got 4 rounds of drinks bought for us.
Oh, nice.
Which didn't help with the hangover today.
I bet
but
not. Oh my God.
We had fun, and it didn't cost me a lot of money.
The thought of drinking 4 rounds makes me feel queasy, so... Well, I'm a lightweight, so we all know this.
Yeah. But it was fun. We had a good time.
I had a colonoscopy this week.
That's fun.
Yeah.
That's a good time also.
My colonoscopy was scheduled, and you don't schedule them. They tell you when you're coming in to get it done. It was like the 15th. And then I'm like, oh shit, I'm prepping on Valentine's Day. Not that my husband and I are big Valentine's Day. I've never been like into Valentine's Day. It's always made me uncomfortable. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't do anything for Valentine's Day either. We're just...
I get stuff for my kids. I want a box of chocolates that's in a heart-shaped box, but it's more because I want the chocolate than anything. And I'm like, we'll just wait and buy them after.
Yeah, because they're on sale.
Because I can't eat them anyway, and they'll be on sale. They're half off. I get 2 of them instead of 1.
That's right.
And I enjoyed it. But let me tell you. Okay, so when you do, because I'm 46, so they want you to start your first colonoscopy when you're like 45, right? And they give you the instructions. They mailed me the instructions of how to prep for colonoscopy. And it's on this little printed out sheet. And of course they tell you like everything the hospital's going to contact you the day before and tell you when to get there. And they tell you where to go. And they're like the day before, because you have to go pick up your stuff from the pharmacy. And it's a whole bottle of Miralax, which is a powdered laxative that you're supposed to mix a little bit of it with a liquid and drink it to move your bowels.
Clean yourself out.
Right. So, and then like 6 Dulcolax tablets, which the serving size is 1 to 2 tablets, right? And so it says the night before you take your colonoscopy at 4:00, you take it the instructions sound like some fast weight loss colon cleanse that you read about from some dude that posted it on Facebook. It totally looks like that. Like you can't consume any solids, only clear liquids the day before. And then at 4:00, you take 6 Dulcolax tablets, right? And then you prep your Miralax, and you basically take 2 quarts of Gatorade or Crystal Light, and you add the whole bottle of Miralax to it. But it doesn't taste like anything.
Okay.
It has no flavor.
Well, that's good.
Right? You just can't eat anything all day. And that's like, I've fasted before, so that's not like that big a deal. But then at 5:00, you drink a quart of this Gatorade Miralax whiskey within a 20 minutes time period. A quart, right? Mm-hmm. And then 5 hours before your procedure, you have to drink the other quart within it. So I could wake up at 4:30 in the morning and drink a quart of Gatorade.
Gross.
Yeah. It was disgusting. And I thought about doing the Crystal Light, but aspartame is a trigger for my migraines.
Oh,
so
yeah, so don't do that.
If I drink all that, I would have a wicked migraine from that.
Right.
So I'm like, that's a big fat no.
Right.
So orange Gatorade it was. I'll never be able to drink it again.
Oh, because
it wasn't even, it was just like, it was just so much of it. And you have to drink it when your stomach is like saying, we're done. And I even did it, like, my dad had to have a colonoscopy recently, so he had bought like a case of the little bottles of Gatorade. Yeah. So it was like 6 of the small bottles, and that's what I needed. It was about a quart. Right. And so like I drank 3 at a time. So I drink 1, and then I put my alarm, like I snooze my alarm. So 10 minutes later I drink another one, and then 10 minutes later I drink another one. So it spaced it out. Right. Between 30 and 40 minutes. It was not pleasant. And I shat my brains out all night long. Yeah. I had to get up because you can't fart because it'll just, and at one point,
farts are
you get to a point where it's just liquid. And then when you're crapping out clear liquid, it's like, okay, I think I'm clean.
I think we can stop now.
I think we can stop. It was literally clear. Like it looked like.
I'm creeped out. What? That angel's turned the other way now.
What?
That angel, the angel's turned the opposite direction.
It is. Oh my God.
My mom did that. Oh, I got scared. Sorry.
That's creepy. Oh my God.
Why is it facing the wall now? It wasn't facing the wall last week, right?
No.
I'm scared.
Did she do that on purpose?
I don't know if she did it or not.
That's terrifying.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got scared.
So, like, and they're like, your arrival time. You need to be at the hospital at 9:10, right? So we get there at 9 o'clock because I'm like, okay, I'm not going to wait for this. I'm like getting this over so I can eat some food, right? I'm thirsty. You can't, the only thing you're allowed to drink after midnight is the Gatorade that you drink all in a 20-minute span. Right. You're like, I never want to see fluid again in my life. But, we get there, we go inside, tell us what floor, we go up there and we wait to sign in. And we're there at 9 o'clock and I'm waiting and there's 2 people ahead of me and I didn't get to sign in. This is just at the receptionist until 20 after.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I'm for 2 people ahead of me. I'm like, all right, this doesn't bode well. So I'm sitting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. Cause like in the waiting room, there's some people that are just waiting for they drop people off and they're waiting for them.
Right.
And then some people could go in together. Right. And then like in every 5 to 10 minutes, there's new people that come in to sign up. Like, cause they stagger out the people that are coming in to register. And so this woman comes in with a man and they get registered and they sit down and then the nurse comes in and says, Margaret. And I stand up and I'm in like cause they were playing Golden Girls. So I have to sit near the TV so I can watch. It was the murder mystery one.
Oh, good
which is one of the best ones. This other woman that just came in was sitting closest to the door. So they say, Margaret. And I stand up and Ruben stands up and we start walking towards the nurse and the woman who just sat down stood up and said hi to the nurse and walked off with her. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? I go, was her name Margaret too? I go, she has to mean me. I've been in here forever. And then there was another girl sitting there. She's like, she just got here. You've been here forever. You were here before I got here. I'm like, yeah, I know. I go, they'll probably just be coming out in a few minutes to get me. No, 20 minutes later, 25 minutes later, 30 minutes later.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell? Everybody that came in after me had left. Like, had been brought inside. Right. I'm like, did they forget about me? And then finally, somebody comes in and says, Margaret H. And I'm like, okay. So I get up and I'm like, I was beginning to forget you guys forgot about me. She's like, oh no, I didn't. And I'm like, there's a story here, right? Yeah. That woman, it wasn't her turn. Right. And I'm like, I go, so she came back. I go, I was wondering. I go, I thought you guys were just going to come back and get me. She's like, we didn't even know it wasn't her until the anesthesiologist came in to talk to her. She's like, I called her your name 3 times and she never said anything. And her name wasn't even Margaret. And
oh my God.
It wasn't even close. She's like, her name sounds nothing like Margaret. Like, I said, okay, Margaret. And she never said her name wasn't her name until they scanned her wrist bracelet when the anesthesiologist came in. And they're like, wait, your name isn't Margaret? No, it's blah, blah, blah. Like, well, we called for Margaret. No, you didn't. Yeah, we did. No, you said my name. And they're like, no. So they get back there, rush me into the back, and I go, so she's trying to jump the line. She's like, oh no, not if I have anything to say about it. So they still took me. They made her wait back there.
Good.
I'm like,
she totally did that on purpose.
I think she did too. Bitch. I go, hey. And she was there for a colonoscopy. Which, like, not everybody there is for that. It's just the fact that she was supposed to go in after me.
Well, yeah.
But they still got me in first.
Good.
I had the quickest, like, wait time, I'll tell you. I mean, I waited out
But in there, you're...
Yeah, they were quick. Through. Like, I had to go to the bathroom when I got back there, because you don't want to...
Yeah.
And then, literally, like, they brought me in, they said, here, put this gown on. And then take everything off, but leave your socks on, put this gown on. And then they'll be right in here to talk to you about, like, to get your IV. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, I had to go to the bathroom. And like, it's over there. They were literally there before I had a chance to change. Like, I went to the bathroom and I came back and they're like, okay. I'm like, oh, I just, like, they walked in at the same time. They got me in there. And then I ate pizza.
Yes.
Good. I normally don't eat pizza because of the salt content in it. And I'm
You're like, give me pizza.
I know I'm probably not going to shit for 2 days now, but that's fine. I've been crapping enough for the whole week.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to ever have that.
The actual colonoscopy was fine. I was sleeping.
Yeah, everyone says it's not bad. It's just the prep that sucks.
But it's not even, like, it's more like it's drinking all that liquid at once is a little uncomfortable. But I fasted before, so it's not, the fasting itself doesn't bother me.
I don't know how that works with my blood sugar. I haven't done that. So
all you're allowed to drink is like bouillon and fruit juice and clear liquids.
Yeah.
And so I drank some seltzer, drank a bunch of, but you know, it's funny, like I felt like I needed the sugar. Like because your
blood sugar's dropping.
Yeah. So like you can have hard candies. That was like good for like 3 candies. And I'm like, okay, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I never want to see another hard candy again. I only ate like 5, but it was just like, make your teeth all feel gross.
Well, that's why my saliva duct thing was clogged. I had to suck on sour candy. I don't want to do that for a while. No.
You're next for you're gonna give me.
Oh,
you're gonna book your colonoscopy.
No, I am not. All right, so let's move on from colonoscopies. This week's episode is another haunted hotel.
Ooh,
it's the Omni Parker, which is in Boston, and I wore my Bruins Boston Bruins shirt.
It
wasn't on purpose actually, but it worked out nicely. And I have my
cousin's weird t-shirt on. I washed this thing inside out, and it still is getting a little.
You know, it's homemade.
It was lovely.
Yep. I wore my Bruins Crocs too, so
very nice.
I'm all ready and it was not on purpose. It just happened to work that way. So the Omni Parker Hotel is the longest running hotel in our country. First of all, it was founded by Harvey Parker in 1855, and during the time, large scale hotels were not something that happened. Like, there weren't big hotels. People were traveling out of necessity, not out of like entertainment or luxury. They were traveling because they had to get somewhere.
Yeah, because it used to be people didn't travel for luxury.
No, they traveled because for business or whatever. And women rarely would travel. So men traveling utilized roadside taverns and inns at the time. And many of them would like drink a bunch in the tavern and share rooms with other men. So there weren't women going because there's a bunch of rowdy men in these taverns.
It was considered, even if you went and like you went with a man, it was like, ooh,
she's in this tavern and she's
with her husband. She's probably a prostitute.
Yeah. But as time went on, people started traveling to Boston by coach and ship, and nicer commodities started to pop up that even women could go to. Yeah. So it was getting nicer. They were calling them houses, but they weren't houses. They were like inns, but fancier.
It was basically somebody's house that got converted so people could stay in it.
So during this transition period, Harvey moved from Boston, from Maine. He was 20 years old. He was a farmer in 1825. He had less than $1 to his name, so he was like, I need to find something to work quick. And he did a bunch of different little things like caring for horses, cattle, and horses and things like that. Then he got a job as a coachman for a wealthy woman who lived in Watertown, Massachusetts, which is
a funny story about Watertown, Massachusetts is that one, the Boston bombing.
He was found in
and people were freaking out because we live in Watertown, New York. People were, he said Watertown, I'm like Watertown, Massachusetts, you idiot.
Not here.
Not Watertown, New York.
Yeah, he was found in the backyard of someone in a boat in someone's backyard. So he would take this woman into Boston while she was doing her thing, whatever she did there. He would go to this dark cellar cafe and eat. And he befriended the owner. And over time, the owner wanted to sell and he had saved his money. So he bought this cafe for $432 in 1832. And he named it Parker's. And his food, that place was known for really good food and really good service and became very popular. And it wasn't like when the other guy owned it, it was like where the coachman would go eat, not some. So now businessmen and lawyers were making it their place to go because they had really good food and service. And he knew what he was doing. This guy was smart. So by 1854, he had his sights set on something bigger. He had taken on some partners and he wanted to build a luxury hotel on School Street right up from the State Building. He was a smart man. He knew if he got in with political people, it would do well. So he purchased this old boarding house called the Micro Mansion in 1854, and he turned it into a 5-story Italian-style stone and brick building with marble facade and arch windows and marble staircasing. Above the door, it said Parker's, and it was first class. It was like the nicest thing ever. Like people were just like, and keeping with his roots, he wanted the restaurant to be amazing. So he hired a French chef, paying him way beyond what normal chefs were making at the time. And it featured now would be famous New England cuisine. Like they basically invented, like, New England clam chowder and, the Boston
lobster rolls.
Yeah. Boston cream pie was invented in the hotel in that kitchen.
Cool.
So the state's dessert, lemon meringue pie was invented there. And there's also,
that's one of my favorites.
It's good.
Lemon meringue pie and coconut cream pie. Oh my God.
No, not coconut.
I love coconut.
And they're also known for their famous Parker dinner rolls that had a split top. It was a whole thing.
Parker House.
Dinner rolls?
Yeah. It's like a real thing. Parker House rolls.
That's from there.
That's awesome.
And they were so like coveted that Theodore Roosevelt, I think, like, had them make them and send them to the White House. And then they started packaging them and sending them out all over the place.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And the bar was pretty famous, and they had their own, like, concoctions of drinks. And it attracted politicians, businessmen, literaries of the time went there. They loved it because there was, like, a publishing house nearby. He was the first to bring the European plan to America, and which meant that you charge separately for room and food. Before that, in taverns, you paid for your meal and your room all in one fee. Right. But it was like whatever they had, you ate it. At the time they said you ate it.
It's like, this is how much it costs for the night, and it includes
this
dinner.
Is what your food is. You have no choice.
This is what you get.
Yeah, and
a meat pie or a stew.
Yeah, and he was like, okay, I'm doing this differently. I want to charge for the room and meal separate. And the meal is going to have lots of variety and choices. And people can eat basically when they want to eat, not when they have to eat. You know what I mean? Right. They didn't have to eat at a certain time.
It was like a restaurant, which they didn't have really then.
Yeah, they didn't really have places to go to do that kind of thing. Many chefs perfected their culinary craft over the years in this restaurant, including Emeril Lagasse.
Cool.
Who was a sous chef from 79 to 81. Ho Chi Minh was a baker there from 1911 to 1913. And Malcolm X was a busboy in the early 1940s. So there were some famous people that worked within there before they were famous. Now, the hotel drew poets, philosophers, politicians, and performers. It was located between the State Building and the City Hall. So right there was like people are walking back and forth between the two. All these politicians were stopping in. It was fancy. It was fun. And then Tremont Temple Theater was built around the corner. So all these actors and performers would go there to eat and drink, stay. You want to write over there?
I'm just trying to get comfortable.
Okay. And then
sit with my legs crossed like that.
Oh.
Makes my hips hurt.
I just have years of practice working as a preschool teacher.
Yes, I can't.
And then there, like I said, there was a publishing firm nearby in a building, and it became the perfect location for a successful eatery, restaurant, hotel, because people coming to town are going to stay there because everything's right there. Every chief of staff from Ulysses S. Grant to Bill Clinton stayed there.
Cool.
They lobbied, drank, and stayed in the Omni Parker. Actor John Wilkes Booth, I don't know if you recognize that name.
Yeah.
Was staying at the Omni Parker, visiting his brother Edward, who was also a performer in Boston. He was performing at the Trenton Temple Theater. While he was there, he was seen practicing at the shooting range near the hotel. 8 days after checking out, he killed President Lincoln.
God.
So that's where he was before he killed Lincoln. In 1867, Charles Dickens stayed on the third floor of the Parker for 6 months in a spacious suite. He already was famous at the time, and he would spend hours. He actually did his first reading of the Christmas Carol there. And he spent hours reading in front of this 6-foot-tall arched mirror in his room. His sold-out performances were held in the Trenton Theater around the corner, so it was a perfect place for him to stay, and it was fancy and nice, and he was fancy at the time because he was really famous. Mm-hmm. And although the original hotel actually had been torn down in 1920s, they saved the door and the mirror from his room, and it's displayed in the hotel now. And at Christmas time, they adorn the door with a wreath in a nod to him.
They should.
The 19th century literary men's social club called the Saturday Club was housed. They've met at the Omni Parker, included members like Dickens, Longfellow, Emerson, Holmes, and Hawthorne. Their afternoons would be poetry readings and discussions and book critiques. There was some great inspiration for different works done there. Longfellow actually drafted portions of Paul Revere's Ride, and they formed the idea of the Atlantic Monthly magazine. So that was some kind of, like, they all would meet on the last Saturday of the month and do these conversations and probably passionate debates about literary and stuff, which we neat. The most famous politician who made his mark at the Parker was JFK. He actually gave his very first speech there at 7 years old for his grandfather's birthday, and it became a special place in his heart. He loved the Omni Parker. So he launched his political career at the hotel in 1964 when he announced his bid for Congress, and later he proposed to his wife Jackie at table 40 in the restaurant, and he held his bachelor party there. But apparently people will reserve table 40, and that's a very popular place to propose, which is kind of cute.
That is cute,
I guess. So a hotel's so rich in history.
Yes.
And so, there's a lot of energy there. Yeah. It's gonna be haunted.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. So one of the resident ghosts is Harvey Parker himself. He died in the hotel in 1885. So for 30 years, he ran that hotel until the day he died. And he was really, like, everyone loved him. He was a nice dude, and he took good care of the patrons of his hotel. He was always smiling and always talking to them. And people say before you see him, a gray mist will appear and it'll form into an apparition of Harvey. Sometimes he even goes into guests' rooms. Probably not cool, Harvey. I don't think I want you there. A mother and daughter were staying in room 1012.
Nope.
The daughter woke up at dawn to an older gentleman with a mustache standing at the standing at the foot of her bed. He smiled at her and asked her if she was enjoying her stay, and before she could say anything, he disappeared. When she saw a portrait of Parker later on in the dining room, she's like, that was the guy at the end of my bed. And they're like, oh, he's been dead for a long time.
No. Old dude creeping at the end of your bed, not what anyone wants to see. It doesn't matter.
Don't be there. They say he likes to roam the 10th floor annex, which actually is the oldest part of the hotel that's still standing. The original part of the original hotel. So even though they tore some of it down, that part remained. And that's where he can be seen the most, which makes sense because he built that. In the 1950s, an elderly woman saw an apparition outside her room of 1078. First, she saw mist, then turned into a man in a 19th century clothing who turned towards her and then disappeared. Again, once seeing a picture of Harvey, she identified it as him. People have seen orbs floating through the hallways on the 10th floor and witnessed lights flickering on and off. The most haunting thing in my eyes, other than some dude standing at the end of my bed, is the fact that you hear the sound of rocking chairs, which seems to be coming from inside walls.
No, that is creepy. Yeah, that's a creeper.
And I should note, there's no rocking chairs in the hotel at all. So it's not like it's coming from inside a room. There are none. Actress Charlotte Cushman was staying at the hotel when she died after battling cancer and pneumonia. She is said to have haunted the 3rd floor ever since. Now, there's a reporter from the American Statement. Her name's Becca Hensley, and she confirmed this occurrence when she stayed in 2010. And this is a quote from her from an article, Boston's Scariest Haunts. Nevertheless, my elevator does send itself several times to the 3rd floor, though I don't push the button. And when I arrive, nobody is waiting. Ah, yes, says the woman at the front desk, as if it's nothing. The elevator's been doing that since Charlotte Cushman died there. Apparently, Charles Dickens also lived on the 3rd floor, practicing his literature speeches in the mirror, now hanging on the hotel mezzanine. Some say his visage appears there still. So, the elevator tends to always stop on the 3rd floor, even if no one pushes the button. That's something that happens.
That's creepy.
But let's hit Charles Dickens' mirror again. They say it's haunted by Charles Dickens.
The mirror?
The mirror. Eek. So cool.
This is cool. That is cool.
People say they have seen his appearance in there wearing what he would have wore to his performances, to do his readings. And
did he wear a big top hat?
I don't know if it's such a... I bet he did. I can see him.
I feel like he should have.
With a collie on it.
Yes!
Right? Yeah.
A coat with tails.
They say if you say Charles Dickens 3 times in the mirror, the elevator nearby will start chiming.
Oh, we gotta do it.
I know.
Oh my God.
A staff member once witnessed a spooky thing that happened, and he will not touch the mirror now. According to Sam Baltrusis in his book, Haunted Boston Harbor, this is a quote. The mirror is the one that Charles Dickens used to practice his orations in, said Jeffrey Doucette, a veteran tour guide. Not long ago, a worker began to clean the mirror, and he kept seeing condensation appear on the glass right next to him, as if someone was breathing on it. He hasn't touched it since. Or been near it.
No. That's creepy.
Yeah. So there's more hauntings on the 3rd floor, not just Dickens being there and Charlotte Cushman's death. There was a man, he was a salesman, and or a businessman, and he stayed in room 303. He actually ended up committing suicide in the room by mixing barbiturates and whiskey. And while he stayed at the hotel, he'd spend his time in his room smoking cigars and drinking whiskey, and apparently wasn't a happy person. Guests who stay there now in that room in 303 could hear my man's laughter, smell cigars and whiskey. No matter what they did to try to remove the smell, they cannot get rid of the smell of cigars and whiskey.
That sounds like a terrible combination.
I don't like it.
No. Whiskey's all right if you're drinking it, but I don't want to have smell
it all the time.
Dirty cigar with whiskey breath. That's all I can think of. Yuck.
The bathwater also would turn itself on.
Oh no.
In there.
That's creepy.
There were so many.
I would never use that bathtub.
You'll get sucked in. And
yes, it's like the kind where you take a bath in something invisible force drowns you.
Under, yeah.
Yes.
There were so many complaints by people that stayed in that room of the smell and the tub turning itself on that they just closed the room down and use it as storage now. They don't even deal with it. They're like, we can't deal with it anymore. There were so many people complained.
That's
they were like, forget
insane.
it. Now, it's rumored that Stephen King wrote the book 1408 after staying at the hotel and hearing about the happenings in room 303. Never confirmed. He never confirmed if that's where he got inspiration for the book. But rumor has it, there's some similarities there. Now, the manager of guest services, his name is Seamus Murphy. Pretty Irish guy.
Definitely.
He said he also had ghostly encounters in the mezzanine level in the storage closet. According to an interview he gave to the author of the book, Heaven by Hotel Standards, which was a book about the Omni Parker because it was basically heaven. Like, people couldn't believe how wonderful it was. So this is a quote. I heard stories about ghosts here, but in the 22 years as a bellman, never had experienced my own. Around 2010, though, there was an event. You know, he does this thing called the Saturdays with Seamus program. Well, we were in the Longfellow room, and I usually speak from a podium, but there was none there. I went to the storage room on the mezzanine level and heard a gruff voice yell out, "What do you want?" I thought it was a houseman at first, but there was nobody on the floor. Nobody at all. And the voice sounded just like the bell captain that used to work here. He had been a drinker and sometimes worked after hours. He'd go off on some bar and then wander back into the hotel late at night and hide out here in some sliding closet. So I thought it was probably him. Yeah, it really sounded exactly like him, except the fact that he's dead.
Yikes.
So it's apparently haunted by an old houseman who used to drink and hide in the closets.
That's a bad combo anyway.
I know, right?
Open the closet, there's a drunk guy hanging out. Like,
I don't know if I'd rather have him drunk in the closet or dead. I don't know.
Oh.
Poet Oliver Wendell Holmes wrote about the hotel in his poem in 1884 titled At the Saturday Club.
Okay.
This is a part of it. Such guests, what famous names it records boasts, whose owners wander in the mob of ghosts. So right in the poem, in the 1800s, they already were saying that there's ghosts in this hotel.
Yeah.
Now, the hotel is also located across the street from historic King's Chapel, which its graveyard is the oldest graveyard in Boston and is believed to be haunted. So if you stay in the hotel, you'll have ghosts there, but also across the street.
We need to stay in this hotel and then go across the street and hang out in the cemetery.
I know.
With the ghosts.
Super cool. And they even, I think they say that the Trenton Theater is also haunted. Like, Boston's pretty haunted because it's old.
Yeah. There's lots of history.
Yeah.
Lots of massacres happened at Boston too.
Yes.
Lots of unrest.
Yeah. The Parker changed hands after Harvey died, and even though it was rebuilt in the mid-20s, they kept one wing open so it never closed. So that's how they're able to be the longest running. It eventually became under ownership of Omni Hotels, which changed its name from the Parker to Omni Parker. And it's now owned by a Texas billionaire. His name is Robert Rawling since 1996. It has 550 rooms and is 2,300 square feet. It's detailed with bronze front doors, spacious wood-paneled lobby, plush carpets, decorated ceilings, stunning views of Boston, and 3 restaurants. You get a first-class experience when you stay at the Omni Parker.
I bet.
The Omni Parker is very open about its restless spirits. They talk about it. So even the concierge keeps a ghostly encounters handout handy and ready to read for anyone that asks. Floor numbers are mentioned and specific room numbers are. And of the 8 stories, half of them are paranormal activity on that 10th floor is where Harvey likes to hang. So that's the tale of the Omni Parker.
I'm on their website right now looking to see how much it costs.
I wonder. I didn't look at see how much, but I did read about it. I did use their website as a resource to read about.
Luxury Boston accommodations.
I'm sure it's way out of our price range. Maybe they'll sponsor us.
Retreat to Sweet Escape. Retreat to downtown Boston to experience 15% off luxurious accommodations, breakfast, a welcome amenity, and more.
I'm sure it's more.
Free Wi-Fi with loyalty. You have to be in the loyalty program to get the Wi-Fi. Whoa.
That happens a lot at fancy hotels.
That sucks. What the fuck?
Fancy hotels do not give you free breakfast, do not give you free Wi-Fi, do not give you free parking. You pay ridiculous amounts for the room plus everything else. They don't come.
These rooms are beautiful.
Yeah,
fancy.
It's a gorgeous hotel.
It really is. I mean, they're small. That's pretty,
well, because if you figured it, even in that's beautiful. Even in like when it originally was built, the rooms were probably small.
Look at this premier suite. Somebody's fancy.
Oh,
yes. Like I don't know. It's like a studio or something.
Even in the 20s, they wouldn't make the rooms would be kind of small because you're built in a city. So
you want to get city.
So you have the 550 rooms inside it. You have to make sure you get as many as you can.
Deluxe rooms, traditional rooms.
I just want to go eat in the restaurant.
Economy, petite, single room. Let's see how much it costs.
Okay.
Plan your stay. 1 room, 2 guests. February 19th through the 20th. Let's see.
We'll be there right now.
Let's see how much it costs. Traditional, $146 for the economy room.
That's actually not bad. I don't think that's bad.
Well, that's actually the one up. That's the traditional room.
That's not bad.
One full-size bed.
I really thought that they were going to be 100, like more than that.
Well, the fancy, these are just the regular
right,
rooms.
But still, I would think in the downtown Boston.
That's just for one night. And the premier suite with 1 king bed is $303.
That makes more sense to me.
Yes.
Hundreds.
But even this one's $220. Look at that room.
They're beautiful rooms.
They are. We could stay there
in
the economy in one of the deluxe. I'd share a bed with you. I don't care.
I don't care either. So haunted Boston.
Haunted Boston.
Yeah. I've never been to Boston, and I love Boston. Crazy because I love the Bruins. But
I've been a few times. Back when I worked at the health food store, and we'd go there for Natural Products Expo.
Right.
And I hate driving in Boston.
Everyone says that.
It's terrible. It's terrible. And don't think a GPS is going to help you because it's not.
Because I can't understand it either.
And then you go in the tunnels and then you lose service.
Right.
And then you come out and you're like, oh, I was supposed to take a turn. And then we were trying to get to the convention center and our GPS was telling us we basically drove in a circle around it 6 times.
Right.
The GPS. I'm like, let's just follow the signs.
Yeah. Don't follow the GPS.
That worked. Don't follow the GPS. Because, if you look, okay, it's an old city, but you know what? New York City is just as old as Boston. Mm-hmm. Right? You look at them from the sky.
Oh, I know. It's crazy looking.
And New York City's a grid.
Makes sense.
And Boston looks like someone threw spaghetti on the ground and then decided to make that look like the roads. And, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I like going there. It's nice.
I would love to go, and see the Bruins there. It's just really expensive. So when I go to see the Bruins, I go to Buffalo because the Sabres aren't really good. So their ticket prices are cheaper than So that's how I watch the Bruins play the Sabres. I'm going in March 18th. I'm going to be in Buffalo for Patty's weekend. So that'll be cool.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
But you know that they're having the, water talk with green.
Yeah, I know. I won't be here.
Nope.
You'll
be in Buffalo.
Yep. Gotta go see the Bruins play. So, if you want to see pictures of the Omni Parker and you don't want to Google them yourself, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook because we share all the pictures from our episodes of things. So you can kind of put a picture to the story you heard. And you should follow us anyway because we post our episodes links on there. So you can just click on the link and go right to the episode. You don't even have to try to find it.
Yeah, and if you'd like to reach out to us, you can send us a direct message through Instagram or Facebook, or you can send us an email at thecousinsweird@gmail.com. And we'd love to hear your stories. We're trying to collect retail stories.
Yeah.
Especially
weird
Dollar Tree stories. Anything
Walmart
that's happened to you while you've been out shopping in a public space that's happened.
Yeah, we just
let us know. We want to know. We want to compile a list and have a story about weirdos that are around town. Our town or your town, we don't care.
We don't care.
Tell us about the weirdos you've met in your travels.
If you want to support our podcast, the best way to support us is always by word of mouth, sharing our podcast with your friends and sharing us on your socials.
Like us on
follow us on your platform of choice and then give us a rating.
Yep. and
review, because that pushes up in the algorithms so that people see us more. So that'd be awesome. And you can also support us at patreon.com/thecousinsweird for $1 a month. Become a freaky friend. You get bonus episodes and a free sticker. And for $5 a month, become a terrible trender. You get the same shit as you do for freaky friend, but you also get ad-free episodes, a yearly gift, and you will get to have a monthly Skype with us and other Patreons, and we can talk about whatever you want.
Yes, please do. I think that's it.
I think that's all.
Stay freaky.
Bye.
Bye.